Welcome to episode 17 of the Ben Briggs, I almost forgot them people, of the Ben Briggs podcast. It's Tuesday, July the 2nd, 2019. And we've got another episode. I say we, it's just me sitting again in the flat. It's like, 6:10 in the evening. Again, leaving it till the last minute, people. I know. I ought to take more time out of my day to do this, but I had a busy day. So I'm sitting in the flat at the minute, coming right back at you through the airways. The flat is smelling today. It's smelling of vinegar. And I'll tell you why, people, because I fell for one of these, hey man, one of these life hack things that you see on the internet. 20 amazing life hacks that you can do and make your life easier. It doesn't. I'll just categorize that now. None of those things make your life easier. So I saw one of these fucking life hack things, and I thought to myself, like, all my taps in my flat were furred up with shit because I live in a hard water area. And if you put the hot tap on and you need hot water, as we do as human beings to wash, it all gets furred up. So I saw one of these things and I thought, that's a fucking good idea, that is. I'll use vinegar, it said. Use vinegar to break it down. And now it doesn't tell you that your entire flat will stink of fucking vinegar. To get rid of the lime scale. That's it. And my whole entire flat now reeks like a fucking chip shop at the moment. A fish and chip shop, that is, for our foreign listeners. But so it works a fucking treat. I'll give it that. It works a treat. It gets it off. I've done everything associated with hard water I've done, and everything has a mild smell of vinegar about it right now. That sort of like vinegary smell, the sort of people who don't wear socks with trainers, that sort of vinegary smell it is, like in my flat. I know, it sounds horrendous. I know. And it smells horrendous at the moment. I've got all the windows open. Well, out the back anyway, not out the front, because I don't want people walking by listening to somebody fucking ranting to themselves, because the next minute you get the old knock on the door and the men with white coats come and fucking take you away. And you're just saying, hey, I'm trying to do a podcast. Yeah, that's what they all say. My flat reeks of that at the minute, but it has worked. Although it also doesn't tell you that one job inevitably will lead to another job. So by getting rid of all the lime scale from around my taps and everything, now where the tap meets the actual sink basin, or the sink bowl, where the tap meets that bit, because it was all furred up with shit lime scale, that is now there's no lime scale there. So, and the washers, the rubber little seals have worn away on the sink and the bathroom sink as well, on the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink. So now water is just pouring through there and coming out the bottom, like every time I get water on the surface. So that's a fucking another job to do, that I've got to do. And then you have to become an expert in plumbing, don't you? Because I'm too tight to get a plumber to come out to fix it. For a washer, which would be probably about 150 quid, just a call-out charge. Then you have to go online. You have to study, essentially, to be a plumber by watching YouTube videos. And, and then you have to become a graduated plumber and then fix it yourself. That's it. So that's probably about 6 months training I'm going to have to go through. Just to fix something that was started with vinegar. Although saying that, my kettle is looking amazing at the minute. Every cup of tea I have at the minute has a slight hint I ain't going to lie to you. It's got a slight hint of vinegar about it. But as soon as you get through that, you get through the slight... I'm so glad nobody ever comes round here. The only person who comes round here is my mum at the minute. That's the only person who comes round. She'll have a cup of tea. A slightly vinegary tea. I've got some of that Yorkshire vinegary tea, Mum, just to see what it's like. That's what I said this week. It will take the lime scale off your teeth. Jesus. But, so, one job inevitably leads to another job, doesn't it? So, so that's my DIY section for the week. Jesus, don't ever try those life hack things, though. They're all the same. It's just, the only reason I did that is because the normal lime scale removers, I don't know what it is about this area in Northampton, but lime scale seems to stick to everything. The normal lime scale removers like Viacal, that didn't do shit. Every other bit of lime scale remover I tried didn't do shit. But my kettle now is remarkably clean. I know. This is what you get, these little life hacks. But you have to live with the fact that everything is going to taste slightly vinegary from now on. But there's loads of these things on. Here's a easy life hack for this or whatever. I actually did use 2 of them because I filled plastic bags full of water and then tied them around the end of the taps. I know. And put my shower head in there as well. I've done everything, people. Even that little bit round the rim of the toilet bowl where you get the lime scale forming there. I did that. I know. I'm lime scale free at the moment. I can't believe this, but you have to live with a slight smell of that you've been living inside somebody's trainer for about a month. But it's gonna have to do until the smell goes. So I have been spraying a lot of air freshener around and trying to nail it that way, and it's not having it at all. So I'm just drinking a nice cup of tea with a slight hint of vinegar about it as well. But it's been quite a busy day today, so I've got a gig tonight as well. I'm in Leamington Spa. Leamington Spa tonight, Royal Leamington Spa. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why they got the royal bit at the start. Maybe they oppress the masses there. I don't know. Maybe that's why people just walk around in crowns and shit like that. But it's a royal spa town, which I don't know. There's people walking around in fucking housecoats or dressing gowns, I imagine, and those free little slippers you get. But it's quite nice, actually, Leamington Spa. So, and the nicest thing about it as well is it's only 45 minutes away from my house. It's about 30 miles away from my house. Sweet! So I'm not going to have the same thing I had last night, gigging in Ipswich, where I left the gig at about 11 o'clock and got back at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was fuck me, man. It was just, the journey on the way home was just horrendous. There was 4 road cancellations. Road cancellations, that's not right, is it? Road closures. There was 4 road closures on the way back. And they lure you into a false sense of security. They sent me on the divert and then they closed that fucking road again. Afterwards, on the divert. So I had to go from 2 separate diverts on 1 divert. Oh, fucking hell, man. It was a nightmare. But, I got back late last night. So I was planning on going to the gym this morning. And I thought, fuck it, I'll get up early. I'll go about 6 o'clock. But that never happened. I woke up at 10. And then just working through the carnage of last night's gig mentally. Although it was actually a nice gig. There wasn't too many people there. The old chestnut of should have been here last month. But there wasn't many people there, and I upset some lady. But the rest of the audience were on side; they were okay. I upset some lady, and she was just giving me daggers, and she was right to the right-hand side, front of the gig as well, and she was just giving me daggers because because I'd upset somebody who was in a party or something. Basically, I got sidetracked. I was talking to a couple. I was asking them, I don't know. It was right towards the end of the gig, and I was asking them something. And for some reason, we got down a route about, I don't know, fingering arseholes or something like that. I know it wasn't a highbrow shit. You know, it wasn't like somebody had a view on religion or something like that. It was about, like we weren't debating of the meaning of life and what everything means and the most important thing out of life. Hey, man, I think it's all about love, man. And, it wasn't all about that. It wasn't that sort of thing that we were doing. It was talking about fingering assholes. That's what we... Even the thought of it now. Jesus, it's making me laugh. Anyway, I was talking about that with this couple who were very engaged with the conversation and quite liking it. They wanted me to push on through, so to speak. And then I turned. There was like an old woman who was in the audience. She was about 80 or something like that. I don't know. I didn't get her age. And she was totally not engaged from the start, sitting at the front, but just like not even looking at the stage. You know, this is not happening in my life at the moment. But from the moment I got on there, so I just like casually referred to her and asked her to try and involve her a little bit. And then somebody in her group got offended. That is, but and stood up and said that is disrespectful. Well, yes, of course it is. That's what made it funny. Like suggesting that whether, asking an old woman in her 80s if she's ever encountered that sort of thing. That's where everybody else was laughing. It's that juxtaposition between like an old, quite repressed old lady who, didn't want to make eye contact or anything like that, and then asking her a question like that. That was, that's where the humour lied, people. So this lady wasn't pleased anyway. But then, and it got awkward. But she was laughing at other stuff. She was laughing at like different bits and bobs, like worse, more. But that's the thing. People will get offended by one little thing when it's, specifically applies to them, or it's specifically somebody in their group getting, offended on somebody else's behalf. And when it specifically applies to them, she was laughing about other stuff. There was a bit about hitting kids or like, a plane crash bit that I did. Still doing that. Yes, I was last night. I had to pull that out of the bag last night. But that was fine. Those things were fine. But when something specifically applied to an old lady in her group about having her asshole fingered, that was too much. That was a digit too far. That was it then. She had to make a point. That was the thing. So she was a little bit upset about that, but everybody else found it very amusing because I just kept digging. That was the worst thing. I just kept digging it, And then at one point, I think like the lady who was having a go at me started like biting her nail or something after talking about like being disgusted about somebody in her group having their asshole fingered. And then started biting her nail, so I obviously jumped on that as well. And much to her annoyance, but much to it feels like bullying, but it wasn't. It was all in context. I'm going to say that anyway, aren't I? I'm going to say that anyway. But anyway, the gig was nice. It was in Ipswich, and I've never been to Ipswich before. I must admit, it seemed a little bit rough. There was there was an awful lot of seagulls around. I don't know that's it's either by the sea. It's not that far from the sea, I don't think, but like quite inland. I didn't know where it was. It was either by the sea or by a very big landfill site. from the amount of seagulls and the general smell of the area. But yeah, it just seemed rough. Like the town centre, there was people hanging around, you know, a lot of hooded youths hanging around and drunk people in the streets. Never a good sign. You're not going to get that tonight in Leamington Spa. Not unless they've got some sort of wine and cheese night on. Two very different places, I think, Ipswich and Leamington Spa. But yeah, it was a little bit rough, but it was, you know, no rougher than Northampton. It's like going in Northampton. Like, Northampton's sort of like pretty much like that sort of environment as well. So I felt a little bit at home, but I still felt a little bit, you know, a little bit edgy. They were like, it was cunty like Northampton, but cunty in a way I didn't know. I didn't know the road names to steer clear of. So I've got a gig tonight. I'm closing a gig. I closed that last night, and I'm closing like a gig in Leamington Spa tonight. Which I'm a little bit annoyed about as well, because it's the World Cup women's, the female girl soccer World Cup semi-final tonight against the US of A. So that starts at 8 p.m. tonight. So I was hoping to catch that. So hopefully, because it's about 45 minutes away, if I leave here about 7:15, I should be able to get to the gig at 8. The gig is in a pub, I believe. I believe it's in a pub. I'm not sure. So there might be a little corner where they can show that whilst the other acts are on, and I can just watch the semi-final and see the Lionesses take on the, I don't know what the American, the USA female team is called. I don't know. The female senior women's USA team, I imagine. We've got the Lionesses. They've got the, I don't know, the Beavers. That would be amazing. That would be the ideal name, I imagine. There are Beavers. But I don't know. I don't think all the teams have little nicknames like that. But I say the England senior female team are the Lionesses. The USA have got to go for the Beavers, I imagine. That would be amazing. Massively politically incorrect. But it would be amazing for the USA female team to just come out and go Beavers! I don't know if any sports teams actually have that name. Have any sort of like double entendre names. I'm not sure. The Pussies. That's Man United, I suppose. I've got no idea. But anyway, that's on at 8 o'clock tonight, so I was hoping to catch that. That's two semi-finals. You had the men's team last year and the women's team this year for England. So we're doing all right. And we've got, to be honest, we've got a better chance of reaching the final than the men's team did last year. So hopefully we can get through, and hopefully that'll be a good game, because they've been playing some fucking great football, the old Lionesses. And it's really, I tell you what, like I can't go on about it enough, how much I have been into this Women's World Cup, and not for them reasons. Not for the reasons of, fucking yeah, look at that. Not for that reason, but like the you can just see like how the investment has gone into like the national side and like the women's football as a whole. There's a bit more money being distributed around, and you can see because the quality of play has gone up. No, like 10 years ago, it was like watching, you know, a Sunday league game, the worst sort of like Sunday league game ever. When you go out and you watch at a local park on a Sunday, and it's notoriously bad. Sunday morning football, men's Sunday morning football is fucking horrendous. I used to play years ago. I used to play on a Saturday, and I'd get paid like a little bit to play on a Saturday for a team. And then on a Sunday, I used to play centre-back. That's where I used to play. I used to play centre-back. and on a Saturday. And I used to quite enjoy it. I used to play sort of like sweeper, and it was good. And it was quite a good standard, sort of like amateur, sort of like, you know, you get a little bit of money. And then on a Sunday, I used to play centre forward and just used to goal hang and just fucking rifle in the goals. Saturdays I used to take serious. Sundays I just used to like just see how many goals I could score, just to boost the old confidence. This was when I was about 18, 19. Until I had one horrendous game. I think that was a Saturday, actually. I was playing for a team on a Saturday. I think I was about 21, 22, something like that. And in the same game, I broke my nose in the first half and then played on like a hero. And after the bleeding had stopped. And then in the second half, I dislocated my knee. So that was it. At the time, I was working and I had to take time off work. And I was like, fuck this. Why am I getting injured like every time I play? You know, Sundays and that's, but I've seen some horrendous things on a Sunday morning. Just horrendous, like fights breaking out, fucking the worst. I saw somebody actually get kicked, like 2-footed kick in the chest when somebody had gone in for a 2-footed challenge at virtual head height. And just poleaxed a guy. Jesus. I've seen referees get punched. Yeah, people take it far too seriously on a Sunday morning. They're just like tubs of lard. Everyone's hungover because they've been out on a Saturday night. And they get up Sunday morning, they're hungover. They don't really want to be there. They're not really the best. There's some fucking great videos that you can check out on YouTube for English Sunday morning football. It is fucking amazing. Some of the, you know, people running and falling over because they're either drunk or just people smoking on the pitch or drinking a lager. It's fucking horrendous. But anyway, that's the sort of thing the women's football used to be like, not smoking on the pitch. About 10 years ago, but like the quality of it now is fucking brilliant. Not quite as, obviously not as quick as the men's game, but the quality of passing, the physical side of the game, they're not as dirty. They don't seem to dive as much as the men. They seem to be more manned up than the actual men who are playing. You know, they very rarely you see them dive for a penalty or a free kick. You don't see them rolling all over the floor unless they're genuinely injured, you know, dislocated a tit or something like that. Then they're going to get stretched up. But, yeah, I definitely say check it out, man. Check it out, especially the semi-final tonight, even though this will probably be coming out at the same time as the semi-final. But yeah, definitely check that out. It's fucking amazing. Anyway, so good old luck to the old Lionesses tonight. So what else we got to talk about? What did I see this week? There was a fucking great story yesterday that I saw that was on the news, like where the body fell over the flight path of some airport or something like that and dropped in somebody's garden. Fucking hell. You hear about Jesus. You hear about fucking like them dropping the what is it, the ice coming out. Like, I don't know whether that's true. Is that true or not? People can inform me. Do they still do that? You know, the toilet. Do they still empty the toilets of planes and it comes out of ice? And then I can't see them doing that, surely, unless they're over the ocean or something. But yeah, somebody's a body fell out of a plane. Not out of, they weren't one of the passengers, by the way. I think they're a stowaway or something. I think it's from Kenya. And the plane was coming into land and the landing gear came down. And yeah, a body fell out and landed in somebody's fucking garden. Jesus. Oh, they weren't having a barbecue at the time. Fucking hell. Jesus. So that happened. Yeah, fuck me. I mean, Jesus. I imagine the guy was dead. The guy had been dead for a long time in there, because you're going to freeze to death. Like, if you're caught in the landing gear, you're going to freeze to death up there, aren't you? Unless you go wrapped up. He's from Kenya as well. So I'm not casting any aspersions about the dress wear of Kenyans, but I imagine he wasn't dressed for surviving at 30,000 feet. Shorts and a T-shirt at best, maybe flip-flops. They're not going to do you any good at that sort of temperature. But, yeah, apparently, as the landing gear was coming down, their body dropped out and landed in somebody's fucking garden. Hello. Welcome to England. Hey, you haven't got a job for me, have you? Jesus. So, yeah, it's a shame when you think about it, but fucking hell. And apparently they found sort of like in the bits where the wheels are, the landing gear bit, they found like some extra clothing and some food and stuff like that. So the geezers obviously planned it and planned to come over. But Jesus, I mean, the desperation of someone like that is sad, isn't it? The desperation of someone like that who's willing to, put their life on the line, literally, who's planned that, and then ends up in somebody's garden in fucking Essex or something. Jesus. Fucking hell. Poor old boy. I take my hat off to you. That shows ambition, me old fruit. I know you ain't going to hear this, but it shows ambition. Also, this week, there was a story, another story as well. This fucking wound me up, people, I tell you. Let's get into the sense of entitlement behind this story. Is what wound me up the most. Let's get it up here. Folkestone mum furious after spending £100 trying to win teddies from claw machine at Camber Sands. Camber Sands is an area by the coast, by the way. Yeah, those claw machines where the old claw comes. The claw. Wasn't that Toy Story? That was Toy Story. I used to win those alien things. And some woman spent £100 on there. This is fucking wound me up. Because a sense of entitlement that she actually deserves something. Everybody knows those claw machines are fucking rigged, don't they? That's why you get things like Nintendo. The last time I saw one of them, a Nintendo DS was in there. That's how old it is. Cheryl Holden, 34, said she is disappointed after spending the money trying to win toys for her 5-month-old son, Ashton. She's got to get the old son in there, hasn't she? Little bit of sympathy. I was doing it all for my 5-month-old son. He doesn't know shit. He's 5 months old. He doesn't even remember the last time he shit his nappy, and that was like 20 minutes ago. Cheryl Holden said she spent around £40 to win this Dumbo plush toy from an arcade machine and spent another £60 without winning another teddy. Well, that's the way it goes. A Folkestone mummy spent £100 trying to win teddies from an arcade. Believes the machines were set up to stop her claiming them for a child. Of course they are, you fucking idiot. Jesus. Last month, Cheryl was on a holiday at Camber Sands. Fucking awful. Camber Sands holiday park in Rye. Of course they're going to rip you off at Camber Sands. Jesus. It's a fucking shithole. With her 5-month-old son, Ashton, partner and partner's family. She said the trip and the park were both lovely until they visited the amusement arcade. Oh my God, her life was ruined. Hoping to win a plush toy for little Ashton, she began playing, just buy him something. Just buy him so you could have spent £100 on a fucking massive toy from the Disney store. She began playing on a 4 goes for £1 claw machine. Jesus, 4 goes. She had 400 goes. 4 goes for £1. She had 400 goes. Who's looking after the kid while she was on this? Jesus. Sounds like she's got a fucking bit of a gambling addiction there. 4 goes for £1. She spent £100. That's 400 goes. After 200, you'd have thought to yourself, oh, maybe this machine's rigged. Even after 100. It can't all, just by the sheer weight and numbers, you'd have thought she'd get something. Jesus. But said when she did not win anything after spending between £35 and £40, complained to a staff member. And there's there's another headline just popped up there. The Chatham pervert who dressed as a granny to prey on young women and girls. Jesus. That's halfway through that story. Jesus. She said this staff member then opened the machine and changed the setting. Oh. After the change was made, Miss Holden said she put in another £1 and won a Dumbo teddy. Well, yeah, of course it's rigged, isn't it? Because they don't grip anything, do they? Jesus, it's like somebody, it's like having a stroke and trying to grab something, those machines. It's all fucking jerky. And the things just, they don't close properly, do they? Immediately afterwards, she said the staff member again readjusted the machine setting. Miss Holden said she was glad to have finally won, but wanted a second toy for her child, you greedy bitch. So she put in, she'd spent 40 quid at that point, at the most. So she put in another 60 and won fuck all. In a machine that she already knew that was rigged. And just seen the guy put it back to its setting of being rigged. And she still put another 60 quid in. Fucking hell. That woman does not deserve money. I was not abusive or anything, she insisted. I raised my voice because I was angry, but I was trying to make it clear to other parents it's not possible to win a teddy and it's rigged. Come on, she must mention her son again somewhere. After spotting the manager, come on. She must do. I phoned the manager, got his number. There, frustrated. Here we go. Here's the guilt trip. There's always a guilt trip with the kids involved when they mention the kids. She said that she has been going to the park since she was a toddler, has always enjoyed her time there and still holds in high regard, but the amusement's Teddy Tribbles has left her bemused and frustrated for little Ashton. She said, my son is 5 months old, but if he was old enough, he would probably be upset. And there we go. There's the guilt trip. And what better way to end this episode with that guilt trip? My son is 5 years old, but he's old. But if he was old enough to be upset, he would have probably been upset. But the reality is he didn't give a fuck. Oh, what better way to end this episode. Anyway, that's episode 17 done, people. This comes out every Tuesday and Saturday. So subscribe if you want to. It's on Podbean, the Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. They're the main ones. Anyway, I'll be back on Saturday. Up the Lionesses. Come on, girls. You can do it tonight. And I'll be back on Saturday. Have a good week, guys.